incredibly tough act to follow because everyone here is from Chicago, but we have someone who can do it, and that is the former governor of Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo. Former governor, could I kindly ask you to come join me on stage? Now, this isn't going to be that awkward, but she has a current job, but because of something called the Hatch Act, we can't really talk about her current job. So we're going to couch everything in terms of Governor Raimondo. I won't ever call you Madam Secretary unless I ask you if I can call you that next year. Just a little joke. Stop.
You can call me Gina. How about that?
Governor Raimondo, as someone who has faced voters and knows how to read a poll, do you believe the current polls on the Harris-Walz ticket?
So, hello, everybody. I love being in Chicago. I feel the energy. Listen, I agree with Bill that Harris is the underdog right now, and that's how we need to run this campaign. Everybody here is fired up, enthusiastic, as you should be, as am I. Go home Friday and work harder than you ever have to get her to win. Because if you have that attitude, we will win. And if we can't be drunk with excitement. But although I am super excited.
but you're not drunk.
I'm not drunk yet because I'm doing this interview. But I'll see you later. No, but I'm actually very, very serious. I was talking to Gretchen Whitmer earlier. I said, hey, Gretch, I love Gretchen. I said, Gretch, how are you feeling? And she's like, Michigan's within the margin of error. We got to get home Friday and work our asses off. And I totally agree. Kamala should win, but as an elected official, look, polling is tough. We know polls are getting less and less accurate. You have to collect all kinds of data to get the accurate answer, not just one poll. But most of all, you should run like you're the underdog.
What's your metric then? What data do you look at to see? Do you like focus groups?
Yeah, like the whole package. There's no one thing. You take the poll as a data point. You take focus groups, give you the texture, huge data point. All the data that you can gather, and you put it all together. It's not as easy as it used to be. You take a poll and that's the answer. You have to collect data from a lot of different sources and put it together, and then also add your judgment. Even in this day and age, what you're hearing on the doors matters. What people are hearing on the phones matters. It's all the texture that you have to listen to.
I'm glad you mentioned Governor Whitmer. Both of you have run for office successfully. You've probably, and I may just throw this out here, dealt with some coded and sexist attacks. What's the best way for a successful politician to respond to those coded and outright sexist and in some cases racist attacks?
It's absolutely not coded. When I was sometimes it's coded, but I was asked by journalists of publications, how are you thinking about taking care of your kids now that you're running for governor? Or I would be out at a big event as governor about to go speak, and they would say, well, who's making dinner tonight that you're here doing this? So, lots and lots of, I'll tell you a story. This might be coded. And every woman ever who's run for office, especially if you've run for executive office, governor, president, the thing you hear is there's just something about her. You hear it. That's coded. So when we would do focus groups, they would show people pictures of me in the focus group. And they'd be like, I don't know if I like her. There's just something about her. She's always wearing a business suit. And then they put a different picture of me and with more casual clothes. And then finally I'd be in T-shirt and jeans. And they'd be like, I kind of like her. The less threatening you seem, the more likable you are.
Did you respond to every attack? Did you let some sort of slide?
You have to let some slide. And this is why it's so hard. I'm wearing this pin. It's about mad damn time. It's past time. Yeah, it's about damn time. You can't swing at every pitch. By the way, that's not just true of sexism or racism. Sometimes you can't swing at every pitch because then you make the story bigger. Right? And also, you can't, as a woman, appear like you're whining. It's much more effective to have somebody else call out the sexism or call out the racism. If you do it yourself, it doesn't play well. So often you just have to take it in stride and continue to do your thing.
I'm so glad we have you here in your personal capacity. And I know in your personal capacity, you're being unvarnished. This is great. You do talk to a lot of business executives, and you've always had a bit of a fingertip feel for the economy. What are they telling you? What are you seeing out there? Because I think economic trends are going to be one of the determining factors in this election. Are you worried? Are you cautiously optimistic? What are you hearing?
You know, what I hear from business people is they all say, don't let us go back to the chaos of Trump. Like, I do hear it. That is what I hear from business people. You know, some people, yes, they want to talk about their issue. You know, how are you going to regulate crypto? How are you going to regulate this? But by and large, what I get is, please don't let us go back to that chaos. Don't let us go back to a president who's vindictive, who makes policy based on which friends he wants to get deals and who he wants to punish, who behaves in a way that makes us uncredible to the rest of the world, who wakes up one day and decides to do some policy which is wrong-headed. I mean, fundamentally, the one thing every business person agrees on is predictability helps. Just tell me the rules and let me run my business.
So they're not overly concerned about corporate tax rates jumping, rising. That's something they can process and plan for.
I think that's right. You know, I've never been a business person who says, tax me more, even though maybe we ought to. But I do hear this, like, God, I can't go back to that chaos. We're finally, you know, COVID put us into the worst economic crisis, among the worst we've ever seen as a nation. We now have the strongest economy in the world. It's not perfect. Prices are still too high. But businesses are like, this is pretty good. We're growing. It's stable. Don't kick us back into chaos.
President Biden last night mentioned COVID. You just mentioned it. What did governors get right with the passage of time, and where did you potentially misfire?
COVID was so hard for governors. Man, you know, we just did our best, every one of us, Republican and Democrat. We didn't know what we were doing in the early days, and we tried as hard as we could. I can say unequivocally, Trump let us down. Like, it was horrible. I remember so vividly desperately calling the Trump administration for help with PPE. You know, in the early days, remember, we couldn't get our hands on ventilators and the N95 masks. And finally, after, no joke, like 50 phone calls to the White House, to him, to the vice president, they said the truck is on the way to Rhode Island, finally. We were so happy. I got a call at midnight from my director of health, Governor, the truck of PPE arrived. And I said, oh, thank God. She said, it's empty. I said, what do you mean it's empty? Governor, they sent us an empty truck. That was the level of chaos. That's what we got from the Trump administration in terms of support. So look, I don't know, every governor did the best. One thing that we did in Rhode Island that at the time was really hard, and was hard decision for me, but in retrospect, I think was the right one, was getting the kids back to school as soon as we could. And that was hard at the time.
You had some, if I recall, you had some tough conversations with labor and with the teachers and what you thought. And how hard was it to describe what those conversations were like?
It was very, very hard. Look, I'll be very honest with you. Now, it was obviously the right thing to do, right? We now know we could keep teachers and kids safe, and the kids who weren't in school suffered more. And I was a mom. I'm still a mom. But at the time, I was a mother of 2 teenagers who were really struggling. So I think that motivated me, like, we got to get these kids back to school. But justifiably, teachers were worried. Superintendents were worried. And so, but I felt determined to do it. And they were very tough conversations. And the teachers would come to me and say, are you sure you're going to keep us safe? You know, I have a compromised kid. I said, yeah, I promise you we'll keep you safe, but we got to get these kids back in school.
I think I know where you're going to go with this this question, but sorry, here, let me get you a water here for the governor.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't drink from it, I promise. What, and this is, she's going to need a big drink. What aggravates you the most about the Republican Party right now?
They just peddle bullshit.
Family-friendly show, but I think I don't know if we have a delay on this.
Lies.
I don't think anything's going to get bleeped out.
It is economic BS.
Okay, articulate that.
I ran a business. I ran a state. It's ridiculous. They claim to be the party of the economy. You explain to me how Trump's proposal to put tariffs on everything, which is like a 10 or 20% sales tax on everything, is good for the economy. It start a trade war with China, hurt businesses. We want to increase manufacturing, so we're going to put a tariff on inputs to manufacturing. It's baloney. Explain to me the fantasy math. Let's just cut taxes on the ultra-rich who've never been doing any better. Don't do a damn thing for infrastructure, job training, promoting, businesses of the future and technology. How is that going to lead to economic growth? It really drives me crazy. It drives me crazy that they peddle that baloney, and yet they're the party of the economy. That gets to me.
I think I discovered what aggravates you.
Yeah.
Can we do a speed round?
Yeah.
One-word answers.
Oh, gosh.
Ballet or opera?
Ballet.
Why?
My daughter dances ballet. She dances with the Washington Ballet, and we love Swan Lake. It's our fave, and I love ballet.
Do you find parental controls on smartphones baffling?
We need more. I'm for parental.
I can't figure them out. That's I'm looking.
Oh, yes. I'll give you yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever met the
I need a kill switch.
Have you ever met the Dalai Lama?
I have not.
Okay.
I would love to.
I'm just helping future profile writers out to fill out the overall portrait of Governor Raimondo. Are you ever going to run for president?
It sounds like yes.
Kamala Harris is going to be our next president.
Will your signature ever be on U.S. currency?
No.
No.
I don't know.
Ruling out Treasury Secretary.
I don't know. These are ridiculous one-word answers.
Okay. Well, we'll do a little more fulsome one. In your Rhodes Scholar era, how many people ran for office? How many people won?
Yeah.
Who was the most ambitious and who was the most irritating?
Oh, that's not fair. Who's the most irritating?
Okay, who's the most ambitious?
There were lots. It's interesting. We were chatting backstage. So many. I was in 93. So, of course, I ran. Bobby Jindal. Remember him? Bobby Jindal, Eric Garcetti, Cory Booker, Chrystia Freelander, all in my era. I love them all. That's a tough one. Most ambitious? I don't know. There might be a tie between Bobby and Eric.
This was meant to be a one-word question. I forgot it, but can I still ask it? Do we still have time? Okay, thank you. Favorite cocktail?
Martini.
And with that, we wish everyone a good evening. Thank you very much for joining us at Axios House.
Go Kamala!
And I think that's it. So, Governor, thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay.